My dear friends, good morning. I welcome you to your talk on the role of foreign exchange and control. Foreign exchange is the currency of one country which is used in exchange of exports or imports in the international trading. In the global trade, the buyers and sellers do reside in various nations having their own currency. Moreover, the currency of all the nations are not one and the same. Each one will be having a different nomenclature with the value and also coinage. Now we look at the foreign exchange control measures. Popularly, the term foreign exchange is used to denote the currencies of other countries across the world. In India, we'll call our currency as rupees. So also rupees in Nepal and dollars in America and rubles in Russian countries. Japan, it is yen and sterling pounds in UK. Likewise, dinars and reals in Saudi Arabia and ringgits in Malaysia. For an example, an export to American state will fetch the foreign exchange from that country in the form of US dollars. But in the settlement, India will get the currency converted into rupees equivalent to that of US dollars for the value of exports. Similarly, if the Indian currency will be going out on import of goods from Japan or Germany, we need to make remittances to them in the Indian currency, but converting the same into prevailing exchange rates of that currency, maybe Japanese yen or German franc, as the case may be, as per the rates being announced by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs on the day of transactions. The currency of any country is only a legal tender and is valid in the territorial boundaries of that country. Whereas it has no exchange value if it goes beyond the same territorial jurisdiction. In the international trade, the same currency cannot be tendered for all. So inevitably, this currency must undergo conversion equivalent in terms with those of that country, as there is no universal acceptable currency to all the nations of the world. In this global trade, the settlements of transactions will generally take place in the currency of either exporter or an importer in a mutually accepted currency of a country which is common friend with whom they will be having frequent transactions. Now, we feel the necessity for the conversion of one currency into another. In the international trading centers, the currency business is largely taking place in London, Tokyo, New York, and Singapore. Generally, the following types of transactions will be giving rise to the scope for conversion of the currency in the international trade. Generally, purchases in the form of imports will be necessitating the payments. They will be paid in the form of demand drafts or telegraphic transfers called TTs or money transfers, etc. by using payment channels like Western Union money transfer and the like, where the proceeds are already credited into the Nostro account. Now we recollect a Nostro account as a account in the bank with foreign currency in another bank where we'll have mutually acceptable currency in that country. This sort of transaction is termed as TT purchase transaction, purchase of checks, bills for the exports, where foreign exchange will be credited to the Nostro account only. On realization, it is classified as bill buying transactions. These transactions of bill buying will be involving a time lag between the date of purchase and the date of credit to the Nostro account. Similarly, sale of goods will fetch foreign exchange from our importers. Now, the transactions are divided into two categories in this regard. Clean instruments like demand drafts, money transfers, telegraphic transfers for non-import purposes are grouped under the telegraphic transfers. Whereas sale transactions, sale towards payment of import bills are brought under the title as bill selling transactions. Now we recollect that while dealing with the balance of payments of accounts, the need for foreign exchange arises on account of imports, repayment of loans, meeting the personal expenditure for educational, research and development, hospitalization charges, also for medical bills, sometimes payments for tourist bills, and also the payments for export proceeds by the non-resident Indians, and also the loans waiver from the agencies like IMF or World Bank and the like. All this will constitute the source of supply of foreign exchange. At this juncture, it is very important to know the definitions for foreign exchange control. Sir, Habery here defined the foreign exchange control as the measure of state regulation excluding the free play of economic forces for the foreign exchange markets. The government regulates the foreign exchange dealings by consideration of national needs. One more definition was offered by Sir Crowther. When a government of a country intervenes directly or indirectly in the international payments and undertakes the authority of purchases and sale of foreign currencies, it is deemed to be called as foreign exchange control. Now, we can come to a clear understanding from the foreign exchange control in the light of above definitions that it's a regulatory power and monopoly of the government in respect of purchase and sale of foreign currencies in order to restore the balance of payments, equilibrium, and disregard the market forces. When quotas and tariffs are not able to regulate and correct the adverse balance of payments, the system of foreign exchange control will be restored to normalcy by the acts of government. Now, let us see the objectives of foreign exchange control. The balance of payments will be corrected, for which the foreign exchange control will be helpful. In addition to this, it will be helping the interests of domestic industries and work for its protection. Next, foreign exchange control will be helping in maintaining an overall rate of exchange where they are preventing the flight of capital along with other objectives. The policy of differentiation we will discuss one by one. Now, the foreign exchange control will be restoring the balance of payments equilibrium by allowing the imports only when they are necessary in the interests of the country and thus limiting the demands for the foreign exchange up to the available resources. Sometimes the country will be devaluing its currency so that it may export more and more to get more and more currency. The second aspect is it is giving a protection to the domestic industries. The government, in order to protect the domestic trade and industries from the clutches of foreign competition, it will also resort to take measures to control the foreign exchange. This will be inducing the domestic industries to produce and export more and more. On the other hand, it will be restricting the import of goods. Third reason is for maintaining the overvalued rate of exchange. This is being used. The principal object of exchange control is whenever the government feels that the rate of exchange is not at a particular level, it may intervene in the maintenance of that rate of exchange of that level. When there is one-sided decision, it will be regulated. The government of India is also maintaining a special fund called Exchange Equalization Fund to take the loopholes in the rate of exchange. Whenever the rate of any particular currency goes up, the government will make all the steps which are necessary to sell that particular currency in the open market so that the rate of that currency will fall down. because of the increased supply. And on the other hand, the government also may overvalue or undervalue that currency on the basis of economic forces. In this process of overvaluing, the government may increase the rate of currency with the value of the other currencies. Next comes the preventing flight of capital. In a situation where the domestic capital starts to fly out of the country, then the government of India may then and there check all the exports to the control rates besides initiating the necessary remedial policy measures. Next comes the policy of differentiation. Now, the government may adopt the policy of differentiation by exercising the control of foreign exchange. Naturally, the government allows the foreign trade with some nations only, and it's not generalized. So, the release of foreign currency will also be only calculated and limited. But at the same time, restrictions will be clamped in the trade relations with some countries like China. In the recent wake of warlike attempts in Galwan and Pulwama like incidents, by not releasing the currency pertaining to the country. Now, we can think of the other objectives like the stabilization of the exchange rates which are prevailing in the market. Next comes ancillary objectives of earning revenue in the form of difference between selling rates and buying rates of foreign exchange. Similarly, to pay off the foreign debts or liabilities with the help of available foreign exchange reserves or resources. So also to make the imports of preferable goods by making the necessary foreign exchange available for the purpose. Now there are 5 different types of foreign exchange controls being adopted in our country. One is the mild system of exchange control. Second one is full-fledged system of exchange control. Third one is compensating arrangement, or fourth one clearing agreement, or payments arrangement. There are certain conditions which are necessitating the foreign exchange control. They are flight of capital, some temporary reasons, and discrimination of source capital. Flight of capital is a measure to check the flight. The government will be imposing the foreign exchange control. This is highly wanted in a speculative pressure when there is a lot of demand for the currency. By also imposing the quotas and tariffs, when it is not effective, the direct method of exchange of control will prevent the flight capital of hot money. Next comes the temporary payments of balance in that account when it is disturbed for the unforeseen reasons, especially in times of war, crop failure, or a hazardous and pandemic situation like COVID-19, which we are facing right now, and other reasons like this. Next comes the discrimination of source capital. Whenever the government wants to show the discrimination between the various sources of supply, the country may also allow the foreign exchange literally for the imports from soft currency area and also imports from hard currency area, where they will be subjected to the light import control. This practice was adopted during the Second World War, as there was acute shortage of dollar currency. Even in India, many import licenses were given for use in Indian rupee currency areas only. Now, with this summary, we had come to an understanding as to the foreign exchange control and the method of maintaining the stability of prices in the international trades. Thank you very much.